we come together in the name of peace. We come together in the name of solidarity. That all-important word that simply means to accompany, to walk with, to make the struggle of others our struggle. And once again, we gather at the main gate of Fort Benning, home of the School of the Americas, now known as WINSEC. New name, but the same shame. Yeah. We come here once again to keep alive the memories of the tens of thousands of our sisters and brothers of all of these countries of the Americas that have been made to suffer, who have been killed, disappeared, tortured, and whose families, loved ones continue to suffer, missing and longing for their loved ones. We gather once again to remember them. And I just hope that our weekend together, as we come together in the name of love and peace and solidarity, that our hearts will be filled with love, and also that our hope in the struggle will be renewed. Thank you.
Thank you, Padre Roy. Thank you, Father Roy. Muchas gracias. Or in Maya, Matios S.O.A. Muy bien, felicidades. Just before we continue, we're so grateful that we have interpreters over here by the little green tent. Tenemos intérpretes con las maquinitas para escuchar en Castilla, castellano. Para los que quieran, están las carpitas verdes. We have the grace, the happiness to put our bodies here where our convictions are. And over 300 of our sisters and brothers have actually done that a step further by actually crossing the line, with the exception of the times when there was no fence and over 1,200 people crossed the line. They couldn't, so they had to put up a fence. Anyway, apart from that fence, over 300 people have crossed that line, making up over 100 years in prison time, collectively. How about that, folks? Let's hear now from two of those prisoners of conscience, Nashua Chantal and Judith Kelly. Let's hear it, folks.
To start, it's totally appropriate to remember three of our former prisoners of conscience who have gone on to God this year. Dorothy Parker, presente. Rita Hohenschel, two-time crosser, presente. And the young and wonderful Michael Vosper Casey. I want to start with a quote that's important to my witness by Father Jerzy Popiełuszko, a Polish martyr of the Solidarity movement. To live in truth is to be in agreement with one's conscience. And another martyr, Sister Ida Ford, one of the church women who was murdered in El Salvador. If you choose to enter into other people's suffering or to love others, you have to consent in some way to the possible consequences. I crossed onto the base in 2002, squeezing through a gap in the fence. That year there were over 90 of us. The officers decided to keep us overnight, which was unprecedented, and charge us a bond of, I think, $500, also unprecedented. They transported us from the base in shackles and chains, all to show us that the price of conscience is high. That day I carried in my sock a quote from Ignacio Ellacuría, one of the 6 Jesuits murdered at the UCA in El Salvador. He said, "We need to work for peace from the perspective of the suffering of orphans and widows and the tragedy of the assassinated and the disappeared. We must keep our eyes on the God of life, the God of the poor, and not on the idols or the gods of death that devour everything." I held on to that call during my 3 months of federal prison in 2003. Many prisoners of conscience have done far more time under far harsher conditions. For the last several years, the sentence is always 6 months. The prisoner goes right into the county lockup, and then eventually are transferred to a federal prison, often under a great deal of duress. Fewer people are willing or able to make this witness, and yet some people, like our friend Nashua Chantal, have been able to do it. He crossed over the fence his second S.O.A. watch witness arrest and witness, and he completed 6 months on September 11th. Thank you, Nashua, for keeping the flame of our nonviolent witness alive. I've met many people in Chile, Colombia, and El Salvador who are very moved to know that U.S. citizens are saying yes to the God of life, the God of the poor, and no to the idols of death that devour everything.